morning, everyone. Well, as most of you know, and if you don't know, you should know, next Sunday we're only going to have one service. There'll be no 9 o'clock service, just an 11 o'clock service at which I will speak, because the service and the following luncheon being provided will all be around the book signing of my book, which the title of it is Escape to Another Reality. And you can sign up in the bookstore for that if you want to sign up to get a copy, and you ought to do that because I don't know if we'll have enough when the time rolls around next Sunday. But sign up for that, and you can sign up to actually purchase the luncheon and the book together. The book is $17.99, the luncheon is $7, so it's about $25. And so that's available to you if you want to go to the bookstore and take care of that. Also, is there anybody here from another Unity? All right, anybody here for the first time? Oh, I know that. I think most of the people in Unity of Boulder have been operating in another reality. Is there anybody here for the first time? I can't see. Raise your hand high. We have a gift for you. All right, yes. Yeah. Right. It's a bag of marijuana. We ask you not to imbibe in the service. Well, you're going to love the service because Syntysche puts it together in such a beautiful way that we can all identify with it on a meaningful level. So look forward to this service coming up.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. My name is Mike Shadle. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the administrator here, and I take care of everything that needs to be taken care of in this building, including rentals. So if you're ever looking for a space to rent for a party, a class, an ongoing group of any type, please get in touch with me and I'll set you up. We rent just about every single room in this building, including this one. So please let me know about that. We got a few things happening around the buildings right now. Jack mentioned his book signing next week and that we won't have a 9 a.m. service, but please get your tickets for the book signing, get a pre-order a book. You can do all that in the office following this service. We've got it all set up so that should be nice and easy. We have our holiday choir is already started meeting, rehearsing, practicing, but we still are inviting anyone who wants to join and be part of our holiday performances this year to please just come out on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Normal, find the right space for you in the choir. You don't have to have any specific training. You don't have to have been in 100 choirs. We'll find a great spot for you. We'd love to have you join us. November 24th is Thanksgiving, and we're going to have our usual annual service at 10 a.m. Right here in this room. That'll be our Thanksgiving Joy Sing service with lots of beautiful and thankful music. So please join us for that. But following that, we have our annual Thanksgiving potluck that everyone is invited to attend. Bring a dish to share. It's always a great, well-attended event. We've got a great leader for it this year. Even if you don't have a dish to share, come hang out. We'd also, if you'd like to help out and volunteer, there's more than enough spots to fill. We always have extra spots needed to fill for volunteering for that lunch. So if you're interested in that, please see Heather in our bookstore, and she can set you up with that. And last but not least, this Tuesday at 10:30, we're going to have a letter mailing here in the building, and what that entails is we're going to be stuffing envelopes that we send out to our entire congregation for our Thanksgiving letter, and it's a really fun, easy way to help out Unity of Boulder. We get to hang out, we listen to tunes, we always have some food and just some laughs, so it's just a real easy way. It takes about 2 hours total, so that's 10:30 this Tuesday. All you have to do is show on up, so please come on out for that and join me. Now I would like to welcome out our special music, the Groverland family.
never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
You're wonderful. I was going to say, while you're standing, turn and meet one another and say, thank you, God, for you. Let's say hello to each other and connect in our community a little bit. It's so nice to see everybody interacting. And let's pat ourselves on the back and say, thank you, God, for me. Because when we love ourselves and we appreciate ourselves, we are good people in this world. So it's important to love ourselves first, especially because that's the resonance, that's what's changing the consciousness of ourselves in this world. So today my talk title is titled Fortifying Faith. And the title came from my sister, actually, who's visiting. And we've had late nights just talking about the consciousness of this world right now. And, she's a healer at the ARE in Virginia Beach, so she's a part of the same consciousness and how it's playing out in our lives and in the people that we're helping in this world. And just having fascinating conversations about the tide that we've had from the moment that COVID hit and this supposed big awakening was happening. Something happened in those first few months, and I think many of us thought we were changed forever and we were just going to now take this consciousness change and go out there and change the world. And in my experience and observations of people, that's not been the case, actually. We tend to forget something that was so challenging, something so challenging, it's kind of like we don't really want to face what that was all about. And yet, inside that experience, there were so many fruits and so many gifts of consciousness growth. And so I'm going to start off with the story that I started with last week about the paralytic laying next to the pool of Bethesda. In John's Gospel's account describes how Jesus, visiting Jerusalem for a Jewish feast, encounters one of the disabled people who used to lie there, a man who had been paralyzed for 38 years. Jesus asks the man if he wants to be healed. The man explains that he is unable to enter the water because he has no one to help him in, and others go down ahead of him. Jesus asks him again, "Do you want to be healed?" And he says, "Yes." He says, "Then pick up your mat and walk." Right? And it's, it's an assurity of knowing that he wants to be healed, so he's ready to be healed, and it doesn't take getting into this water. Sometimes we have excuses that there's something that's got to happen outside in our world to transform something that's blocked and is not healing, right? But I think a more important question is, do you believe you can be healed? That's the most important thing, right? Do you want to be healed? Of course, we all want to be healed of the ills of life, which could be anything from physical illnesses to mental apparitions that are keeping us afraid and limited in our thought process. It can be relationships in our marriages. It can be anything that is in discord in our lives. So do you believe that you can be healed, right? So this time right now, which I'm noticing, for the lifelong spiritual seekers and for the souls at the beginning of their journey of awakening, there's something new for everyone. These present times have so much depth for the elder sage and much for the young, stepping into the time of this unknown. Or is this time known? We can't know if it's known unless we go and take to task what we are working with in our consciousness, right? So I've had long talks about this with my close friends. I have other spiritual leaders that in Denver and different teachers around the country that we discuss this. And what we're finding is that awakening, that transformation that we all thought we kind of collected something that we were ready to go forward, we went out into the world and the world started to get loud again. Right? We left our houses, we left that isolation, we left the quiet, and went out in the world and thought we were going to balance our work now. We were never going to work so hard as we did before that moment. We were going to make sure that family dinners were an important piece of life and that they happened multiple times a week instead of maybe once a week or once a month. We were going to make sure that we physically saw our parents, physically saw our family members more often than maybe once a year, because we came to know what was actually really important from that isolation. That isolation put a pointer towards what really mattered. So first, to understand what we can do to move forward now, it's important for us to look back at what we witnessed, right? So at the beginning of COVID, when all of us felt like everything was stripped from us, an unprecedented time, work stopped for many, being locked down at home, children were home from school. Some thrived in this environment. Some went down the rabbit hole of depression. But here in Boulder and throughout the world, something happened that no one could have predicted. The skies cleared. We were seeing our mountains without a haze that I didn't even know was possible. We were watching our planet heal before our eyes due to the lack of cars on the road and the emissions. This is a picture of Delhi, one of many capitals enjoying improved air quality since the restrictions were introduced to the coronavirus. Do you remember seeing these pictures all over the place? We were witnessing how quickly our planet wanted to find homeostasis when the human beings were locked away in their houses. So let's see, who's responsible for the problem on the planet? These were some of the perks, but some of the other perks was being pushed to visit the inner workings of our spiritual life. Having the children around climbing the walls, we had to become anew again, to learn how to navigate this awakening series that no one was exempted from. It was the first time that every single human being on this planet was going through it together. Just that collective oneness, that collective experience of at least we knew we weren't alone going through it. There was a palpable feeling of the omnipresence in our oneness. And it was beautiful. Yes, it was sad and it was lonely and it had a lot of things that were important for us to go into the inner workings of our spiritual lives, of our human lives. Many of us were changed for good and wanted to go out into the world when it opened back up and share all the love we had discovered in ourselves with others. And now we still sit here, and now we go through days and we completely have forgotten what we went through. Soon the busyness of life snuck in, and the stress level of just existing in the workaday world in the U.S. was ramped back up to a stifling level. Our memories of what the awakening was about faded. And now it seems many of us are lost again, forgetting the nature of this heart-opening journey. So a division happened in the oneness of people. So we had an experience of oneness in that we were all going through it together. But then there was this political current, and there was a current that started to divide people and create different camps to make people then be at odds with each other. Whether who's right or wrong, that's not what I'm talking about here. And some people believe that was actually on purpose. I'm not going to talk about that either. But in the end, if we can think back on that feeling of not being alone going through that experience, let's just do that for a second. Of whatever your life was like when everything locked down and you were in isolation. Many of us hopefully had family members in our houses or close family that could visit because and those of you that didn't have anybody going through that, my heart truly goes out to you, because that was basically all the counseling that I did throughout that phase through Zoom. All day I was counseling people alone in their homes, and even they had epiphanies and awakenings. Then we're brought back out. Life supposedly comes back to normal, and then we get locked down again. How many times did we do that? I think we did it at least 2 times. And businesses failed. People lost their businesses. We all know somebody. We had major fires that took out major parts of our towns. I mean, we had just crisis after crisis. When we came back out in the world, it was like, the awakening hasn't stopped. It's just, there's this fever on the planet. And there's a fever in our consciousness that the old ways no longer going to serve us. We want to go back and just test, though. If we go back to the old way of operating, it's just the human nature to go back and see if I can just get away with it, though. And then we find I can't trick the universe anymore. Somehow, in the old days, we used to joke on this spiritual journey about ignorance was truly blessed. Like being on a spiritual path, once you awaken to this honorable universe and you understood that what you thought and what you heard and what you said and what you shared would come back to you. Once you really understood that, you didn't get away with being stupid. Right? So the stupid could stay stupid and they didn't get karma for it. Unfortunately, that did change during that COVID spell. Nobody was exempted. We were all in it to hopefully awaken, right? So during that phase, I talked a lot about the transformation and a renewal, the shift that was happening from us going from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness. It's just a way for us to look at lower nature to higher consciousness. But I'll break down 3D, 4D, and 5D to remind you of where we were and how far we got and where we've kind of landed. These dimensions are not actual places, but rather they are states of consciousness. Here on Earth, we are living life in either 3D, 4D, 5D, or a combination of all three. In fact, it is most likely that a majority of people on Earth are moving back and forth across 2 or 3 of these dimensional states of consciousness, depending on where they are in their lives. Even though we are all living on the same planet and are surrounded by the same world, our perception of it will be different depending on which state of consciousness we are choosing to see things through. Those perceiving things from a 3D state are going to walk through life much differently to someone perceiving things from a 5D state. If you're curious which dimensional state your consciousness is at, here's a brief explanation of each. 3D consciousness is viewing things from a purely physical state. You are seen as an individual that is separate from others. Life feels like the survival of the fittest, and you are identified by the way you look, the job you have, the car you drive, and the people you surround yourself with. You feel fearful about missing out or not having enough. So that's 3D. Many people believe that the fourth dimensional state acts like a gateway to the fifth. When in 4D, it is easy to travel back to a 3D state. However, this jump in consciousness is much more difficult when you reach a 5D state. So once you really get to that heightened 5D consciousness, it is hard to now go back to the old egotistical nature. 4D consciousness begins to awaken to the idea that we are all connected and that there's more to life than what meets the eye. Thoughts are powerful and can get and shift the way reality is perceived. Duality and the idea of good and bad is still experienced, but there's more compassion and understanding behind it. There's an opening to the importance of diet, meditation, and leading a healthy lifestyle. So it's kind of in between the two. But what we're really going to, for the 5D consciousness, we get into a state of consciousness where we can truly actually come into direct connection with this greater power, this greater love we call God. We're walking as that vibrational energy. We are stepping in each morning before food in our meditation. We are in that state until we heighten our consciousness, and we're moving from a state where the universe is moving in and through every decision, everything that we're doing. Once you reach a 5D state of consciousness, it is very difficult to go back to a 3D state. From this level of consciousness, you begin to understand that we are all one. So do you realize we all tasted that? At that first, 6 months of COVID when we were all isolated, we realized that we were all one. And we were all going through it together. You can see this direct connection with some sort of spiritual impact on this great change that took place. Life becomes an adventure of growth, and there is no such thing as good or bad. There is a higher purpose for all things, and every single experience holds meaning. Who believes that every single experience holds meaning? There are stronger feelings of love and connectedness with others, the planet, and even the galaxies around us. Love and compassion reign supreme, and there's a lack of judgment. You understand that everyone is just on their own journey. We're not here to judge. We're not here to point out. We're here to live in this high state of consciousness, and hopefully it will gravitate and attract others to want to do the same. We don't tell people how to do it. We show them if they ask. But most importantly, it's about us getting to this high state, and it's a magnet. It's the law of attraction. We live from the state of high consciousness, and others will follow. And we learned that when we got back into this universe, or back into the world, actually, that we wanted to be part of the community, our communities. Not just the families, but like my dance class came back together, all the things that filled my glass. Coming back to unity, seeing you all coming back into unity was such a powerful experience to see the difference in everybody's eyes. They were alight. They were glowing. They were appreciative and grateful that this place was still existing after all those months of nobody being here. And it was a true miracle that it was. And that gratitude is important that we keep with that in our practice, in our communities. They are important. They fill us. They stay there. They're with us as we go through things in life. In Matthew 18:19-20, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Prayer, then, is the vehicle whereby we invite Spirit to be with us. That's so important of why family is important, why eating together and praying before our meals and taking the time to be in gratitude for all that God has provided for our lives, for all the gifts, all the beauty. Last week we were talking about finding all the things that are going well and focusing on those and seeing how the things that aren't going well start to heal because you're in gratitude of all the good that's happening over here. So we have to find what we truly want. It's about us. And the pace at which we are discovering our own truth is up to us. The more and more we become more authentic and honest about this present journey, the more we take responsibility of what we're harboring, what we're thinking about others. Are we seeing people as enemies, or are we seeing them as our brothers and sisters, regardless of their opinions? Are we in a place where we're pushing people away because they don't believe exactly the way that I believe? Are we trying to convince others to believe the way that we believe? Because that's not oneness. That's not a collective energy. Where we can all meet is in a higher consciousness. People's decisions on what they decide to vote on or what they believe in, that is none of your business. But on a collective level, we can come together in, Christians would say, in Christ. And what we're coming together is in Christ consciousness. Pure allowance of allowing others to be what they are. Last week I shared this slide and I want to share it again. Edgar Cayce's cosmology. God is essentially love, and the universe is completely orderly. Beyond that concept is the premise that each individual was purposely created as a soul to become a companion with the Creator. And order is an interesting word, orderly, considering the state of our world right now. But I don't think this is talking about looking at the state of the world. Orderly is a state of being. When we're in a state of being, when we're in the highest consciousness, we realize that we were purposely created. We find that which God made us be. What is the special, unique beauty that you came in with? Because it's a piece of that puzzle that brings healing to everything and everybody. We are a soul. There's a reason for us to be here and to become a companion with the Creator. When we become a companion with the Creator, that's when we discover order. And if we also have faith that we can be healed, then we will heal it because we are companions with the Creator. That power lives within us. There comes a time when we have to decide if we're going to give into pain and suffering, trauma, and brokenness as our teacher. That's a tough one. And, you know, my main teacher for my first 30 years on this planet was that. I always have to come back to this wording because it's like you have to decide if you're going to give into pain and suffering, trauma, and brokenness as your teacher. That's a choice, right? Because we do learn a lot from brokenness, right? Because you get the polarity. You get the polarity of, from that pain and that suffering and that ego and that dross and that unhappiness, is this ball of light, right? So it is a good teacher for the beginners and for even the medium level of the spiritual ride. But at what point are we willing to say to the universe, I don't want to hurt that bad anymore. I don't want to hurt and feel the depth of my pain any longer. I want to discover the wisdom inside of me and activate from that. That's actually Zelita's words. She's sitting right there. She's like, I told her that. I told you, I'm talking to great seers all the time. We're having great conversations right now. Letting your wisdom guide each move, and if you aren't clear, pause until you are clear. Right? Quit jumping in with both feet first and your eyes closed and going, I'll just deal with however it turns out. It just is so much more powerful to be in the presence of the living God. And then to step in when we are spiritually clear. Right? And it does take patience. We are not a people of patience. Right? So we're willing to skin our knees and skin our knees and skin our knees, and then it's like, and then somehow we finally find the door open and we're like, oh, geez, there you are. Instead of being in the presence of the Most High. If we have faith that we can heal and we will heal, then the universe is just waiting to open that door. But there might be a frequency that has to shift here maybe a little from 4.5 to 5D. Or some say it's like just the tuning of a string. You hear a chord and it's just one of those notes is off, and it's just that tiny bit. Ling. It's perfect. It flows. It sings. It doesn't have to be a trauma. It doesn't have to be some massive overcoming of the mountains. I mean, I know the Bible's always saying that, and that's the 3D consciousness. But if we're at 4.5 or 5, the power of meditation, the power of prayer, and especially when we do it with 2 or 3 or more. I mean, we have prayer partners for you every single Sunday. They are studied, deep practicing prayer people that can help you find that tune. If you're feeling a little off, you're feeling fearful, you're feeling like something's in your way of your good, why do you think we have it available at the end of the service? People have had their lives changed by these beautiful human beings that have dedicated their lives to wanting to help you just tune that string. And remember how glorious you are and how beautiful you are, and mirror back to you the power that lives within you. In Proverbs 3:5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. Lean on the understanding or your wisdom that you've come to in all the years, right? We have a nice default of understanding, but it's got to be backed. It's got to be love-backed. It has to be spirit-backed. Otherwise, it's the ego's understanding. Trust in the Lord. That's faith. You have to have faith to trust in this greater something that will completely heal your experience. And it takes that loneliness away. You realize, I've been trying to do this all on my own. I've been trying to go this whole thing all on my own. And we find ourselves in tears and we just feel so defeated by the same experiences happening over and over again. They might look different, but they keep happening. And that's the universe being honorable. That's the order of the universe saying, you have to look at this. This is something about your growth. Once you get this, you will then be connected and you will be in union with spirit. We can't avoid, when we keep being given a lesson, that there isn't some fruits. There isn't some secrets in that situation. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity, writes it this way. Insulate your mind from the destructive thoughts of all those who labor under the belief in hard times. If your associates talk about the financial stringency, affirm all the more persistently your dependence on the abundance of the Creator. If your associates talk about the financial stringencies, affirm all the more persistency, your dependence on the abundance of the Creator. It's like when somebody's talking about hard times and how the news is talking about a coming recession and the interest rates are going so far up and you'll never be able to sell the house that you have. And oh my God, you're just like completely screwed. Right? That's why we really need to temper the news. Temper the news, take in. I mean, it's good to be sort of informed. Just make sure you find some really honest news. Insulate your mind, though, from that discord, because what happens when we all believe that there's going to be a recession? We're going to manifest it, aren't we? So you see that coming on, you're like, I'm not really in the mood for a recession. That's really not going to work out for me right now. So, we have all sorts of outer things that are happening with food prices and gas prices, and we do have a lot of outer things that we're seeing that could be kind of pointing to these things happening. And if you want to look toward the discouragement of the immediate future, it will affect you and your vibration, and you'll be now backing out of 5D consciousness, and you'll be sitting there at 3.5 or 4. Or you can pray for everybody involved. Not just you, but holding a state of of order with the trucking system and all the different things that are causing all these different, the gas and all the stuff. Just holding a state of homeostasis for the economy, right? So about 7 years ago, I've shared this story before, so some of you might have heard it before. Mike and I got married, and he had a little property, like a condo in Gun Barrel, and I had a house in Longmont. And I'd lived there for all of my adult years. Well, I haven't lived in Boulder since I was a kid. And I sold my house at the top of the market. It was like booming. It was great. I got 3 times what I think I paid for the house, and I only was in there for like 5 years. It was amazing. And then it was we were trying to move to a house in Gun Barrel. So we were closer to Boulder, so that we were trying to like get rid of some of the driving, because the driving here and back, and it's a lot. Especially when you have classes, it's just quite a bit of travel. And when we got to looking in Gun Barrel, every single day the prices were going up on houses that we could afford when I was selling the house, and especially if I sold at this level. And every day it was getting higher and higher. And within a week, there was no way we could buy a house in Gun Barrel. And we had some rough nights just kind of sitting and staring and going, what are we going to do? Because we're going to move into a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 kids, me, and 2 dogs. I mean, this thing was like teeny. I think it was like 700 square feet. And we had just decided, well, they do it in Europe all the time. Maybe we'll try it out, and we'll ride the wave of this economy, right? So we were in the destructive thoughts that there wasn't enough, that somehow we had just been bidded out of our good, right? And we came to the church, and we were sharing with my mom in the walkway of the office how we were completely had lost hope, and told her what was going on, and we were just really down, and we're gonna all have to move in. And there was like a little loft we could put like bunk beds in this little place. And she looked at us and was like, "You have no faith. You have like no faith. Your father and I never got a house for full price. Every time we got a house, it was a freaking miracle. So shape up. Like, what is this?" Like, she was just like so disappointed. I was like, whoa, okay. In Matthew 8:25, and he said to them, "Why are you afraid, O you of little faith?" Then he rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. Norma was Jesus in this one. We felt like we got a swift kick in the behind, I'll tell you. She's like, yeah, she's right. It's not like I don't teach this, but it's just weird how you can get in tunnel vision when it's your own personal situation and you're so excited and you just thought it was all going to work out just exactly how you thought it was. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes there's a redirection happening for a miracle to happen. For a miracle. If we had just jumped into those houses, none of those houses were places I wanted to be. Literally within hours of her talking to us about that, it was like 1 o'clock, Mike says, "I'm going to leave. I have to go get one of these projectors fixed." And if you've ever, these projectors are very expensive and nobody fixes them. So they just go into, they get recycled. But he found somebody that actually fixed them and said, "I'm just going to run out to Lyons really quick and I'm going to go get this fixed." And it was a quiet summer day. And I said, "I'll just go along with you and just go for the drive." And we drove onto this street. I mean, and it was just the most beautiful neighborhood. And the second house, there was a for sale sign. I went, oh my God, I've always wanted to live in Lyons. But it was like right before Lyons, it was actually closer to Boulder. He goes, "Don't go look at the piece of paper. It's just going to depress you." He was just trying to protect me. And I went and I got that piece of paper, and it was to the dollar. Exactly what we had to buy a house. We got 2 acres of land. I was thinking of having a backyard that was like this big, like teeny tiny, like nothing in Gun Barrel. Land, a barn, I can have horses. I have the most unbelievable property that's now also worth 3 times as much money, right? So I'm bringing this up to remind you that sometimes we have to remind our buddies and our friends and our family members a miracle is coming. When there's a little bit of a stir up, it's questioning your faith. It's pushing your faith. Be with it, be strong, stay in that higher consciousness, or go talk to Norma. She'll always kick you in the behind with these type of things. Sometimes you have to acknowledge every fear you have and turn each one over to Spirit. That takes faith. That's fortifying faith. When you recognize your fears and you can hand it to Spirit. Spirit, I am afraid. I'm afraid of love. I'm afraid that I will be abandoned in my time of need. Let your fears come up and turn them over. That will quicken your awakening. Knowing that there's something greater at hand with every discord that shows up in our lives. There's something stirring. There's something birthing. There's something amazing. And we can get excited instead of getting discouraged. And if you can't do it on your own, go sit with a prayer partner. Go find your prayerful friends here in the center. That's what community is about. And mirror, just say, I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling unloved. And let them love you. Visually, energetically, vibrationally, bring you back into your wholeness. It's just a tuning of a string. It's just sitting here one time for 1 minute could just be the change that your whole life is unfolded unto you. As you come into community and commune with God, Spirit, Source, Creator, whatever word makes you feel loved and hugged. I'm going to close with this slide here, and I'm going to do a short meditation. In silence of the heart, peace will not come to the world until it comes into your own heart. And it cannot come into your heart as long as you see enemies outside of you. Every error you perceive in the world points to an unforgiving place in your own heart. This is calling out for healing. Stop judging others. Stop the game of blame. See every judgment for what it is, an attack against yourself, an attack against God's Son, a deepening of your own shame, which God's Son is us, God's children, daughters, son, whatever you want to name it, but God as we are the expression of that. You, my friend, are the only children of God, just as I was. Apart from your judgments, there is no hell. Apart from your love, there is no heaven. Yet you pretend to be a victim of that world. You pretend there is a devil apart from your beliefs or an evil not connected to your judgments. It is not true. Every evil comes from your judgments, and every devil comes from the projection of your shame. If you don't own this book, the title is Silence of the Heart by Paul Ferrini, or Love Without Conditions. Two of the most powerful books ever written in my point of view. But I want to go back to this devil part, because we never say these words, so I just thought it'd be kind of fun to say it again. I'm just teasing. Have you ever heard me say the word devil up here? This felt really cool. It's like, whoa, I don't think I've ever said that word. But let's look at this. I think I have it right here. The Metaphysical Dictionary, which was written by Charles Filmer, our co-founder, this is his definition of devil. The deceiving phase of mind in people, it should say, that has fixed ideas in opposition to truth. The devil assumes various forms in human beings' consciousness, among which may be mentioned egotism, a puffing up of the personality, and the opposite of this self-depreciation, which admits the accuser into the consciousness. This accuser makes people believe that they are inherently bad. Can we get an amen with that, or? Yeah. All right, so I just want us to recognize that hopefully we'll leave here wanting to connect with our 5D consciousness, which is aware of the omnipresence of God, that moves in and through absolutely everything in our lives, when we can hand over and give over the obstacles and the things that are no longer serving our lives with joy or happiness. There's something in it. There's something to be healed. And if you need support, that's what this community is for. We have our prayer partners. I'd like them to stand up now so that you can see them. They're all ready for you. And you just stay seated in your seat after the service, and they will come and pray with you in the sanctuary or down in our beautiful meditation room. But let's just start some music and just close our eyes. get our feet flat on the floor and try to sit up if you can physically and not let your back be supported by the back of the pew. It's not the exact right prayer sitting position. So let's just breathe in with a, in and out with a, and again. And one more time. Become aware of what you came into unity with this morning. What was on your heart? Take notice of what is mulling around in your being at this time. Now bring your attention back to your heart and take another deep breath. Everything is in divine order. Rest and know whatever is on your heart at this time is the very thing that is growing a deeper connection with Spirit. Move with it. Let it flow through you. Trust every message or intuition you have for moving through this important evolution or awakening in you. It is all for you, not against you. When it seems to be too much, remember to stop and smell the roses. Walk in nature. Sit and close your eyes and meditate and breathe. Give it to Spirit. You were never meant to carry all of this on your own. Have faith, build faith in this greater love. Remember what Edgar Casey said about why we are here. God is essentially love, and the universe is completely orderly. Beyond that concept is the premise that each individual was purposely created as a soul to become companion with the Creator. And it is just that. You are growing and growing closer and merging and becoming aware, embraced, and loved by your union with Spirit. And with this we say, thank you, God, for everything. We have no complaints whatsoever. Amen.
We will take an offering for unity now. And as we're preparing to do this, I'd like to remind you that if you like what's going on here at Unity of Boulder, you can text, email, share what's going on here. We appreciate that. And also, we have freely received, once again, beautiful insights into true life on the higher level of awareness. That's our journey here. This is what we do. We're not looking for some heaven that we might get to when we drop the body. We're looking for that heaven now in consciousness that we will take with us when it is that time to let the body go. So we have all these beautiful truths that we can apply in our lives now and fulfill what the Master of Life said, as Syntysche was revealing to us. Heaven is in our midst, right here, right now, and we can embrace it and share in it. With that in mind, let's bring to mind that gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Only believe. Love heals. Love, pure love heals. Only believe. Love heals. Love, pure love heals. Only believe. Love heals. Love, pure love only believe. Love heals.
So as we've shared with you, we have prayer partners available to you. If you have a prayer, please just stay seated and they will come and find you and pray with you either in the sanctuary or down in our meditation room. I want to thank my kids for performing at the first song. Somehow we had a slip of communication. We had no music on Friday, we realized, and it's like pretty amazing when all three kids say they'll actually perform. Usually one or the other, but like all three going, okay. It was like, oh, so sweet. Yeah. So we have your book thing next week.
That's one service, 11 o'clock. I'll be sharing with you some thoughts
Your mic's not, your mic's,
Heard me say,
is your mic on, Dad? He's pointing at your microphone. Is it not on? Did you turn it off? That means the live streamers didn't hear you. That's the problem.
okay, I'll be sharing with you some deep truth that you've never heard me say at the pulpit.
At 11 a.m. next Sunday.
And you
All
can
right.
sign up for that. We're going to have a luncheon and a book signing and a talk.
And I will have a discussion group at the back of the sanctuary if you want to discuss further this sermon. We circle up in about 10 minutes at the completion, after the completion of the service. Let's rise and close with Finlandia and send some prayers out. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my love is. This is my home, my peace, my side. God of hearts, in our land are redeemed, with hopes and dreams the same as mine. With a big amen. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Now it's your turn. Let's hear you. In the Spirit. Beautiful. In my heart. Yes, I'm beautiful
Only
singing.
here for God. No more
struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Woo! Beautiful singing. We'll see you at the discussion group in 10 minutes. And there's refreshments over here, so go get some coffee and something to eat.